The unlocked hip trap. Your stance is perfect, your grip feels right, yet your shots drift. Discover how an unlocked hip silently destroys pistol stability. Every pistol shooter has faced that mysterious moment when shots suddenly drift, balance feels shaky, and rhythm breaks mid-series even though nothing major seems wrong. You check your grip, trigger, and sights, all okay. Yet, something deep in your stance feels off. That something is often your hip not being locked, a silent stability killer that creeps in unnoticed but eats away your balance, alignment, and control. Many shooters, from beginners to national-level athletes, discover this late, after thousands of rounds fired, when their coach points out, "You are not locking your hip properly." This hip instability is not just a posture mistake. It is a full-body coordination failure that affects your stance, shot rhythm, breathing control, and even your mental calmness during competition. When your hips are unlocked, your entire kinetic chain, from the foot to the shoulder, loses synchronization, leading to an invisible instability that the pistol magnifies. Type of problem. Nature of problem. Primarily process-related and physique-based, with psychological reinforcement. Process-related. Comes from incorrect stance habits, uneven foot pressure, misaligned pelvis, or poor core activation. Physique-based. Weak glutes, unstable core, tight hip flexors, or fatigue lead to poor hip control. Psychological angle. Mental distraction or anxiety makes shooters lose awareness of lower body engagement during a match. The hip joint is a powerful ball and socket mechanism that connects the femur to the pelvis. When properly engaged, it allows the pelvis to stabilize and support the upper body, distributing weight evenly through the knees and ankles. The ideal pistol stance forms a triangle between hip, knee, and ankle. This is called the pelvic stability triangle. When this triangle collapses due to unlocked hips, the upper body wobbles no matter how steady your arm feels. A properly locked hip slightly rotates inward and forward by about 10 to 15 degrees. This engages the gluteus medius and tensor fasciae latae muscles, helping to maintain isometric tension that resists side sway. The spine and pelvis also work in a linked chain. If your pelvis tilts forward or backward excessively, it changes spinal curvature and alters your aiming line. This biomechanical understanding helps shooters feel the hip lock rather than imitate a stance. Effects on performance. Technical impact. Wobbling aim circle and erratic hold pattern. Grouping drifts 10 to 20 mm sideways or vertically depending on the weaker leg or unlocked side. Loss of timing rhythm. Shots delayed due to balance correction. In decimals, expect a 5 to 10 point drop per 60 shot match just from poor hip stability. Accuracy loss example. Even with perfect trigger and sight alignment, a slight hip unlock can change center mass by 0.5 to 1 degree, enough to pull a 10.6 into a 9.8 or 9.6 zone repeatedly. As matches progress, hip fatigue further degrades stability. After 30 to 40 shots, even a minor loosening of the hip joint increases hold area and delays trigger release. The loss of endurance in the glutes and core translates directly into scattered shot timing and accuracy degradation. Psychological impact. When a shooter feels the stance is not rooted, subconscious anxiety kicks in. The brain compensates by tightening shoulders and wrist, causing over-control. Fear of losing balance distracts attention from sight picture. Continuous minor errors create self-doubt loops. What is wrong with me today? Long-term, it reduces trust in your natural stance and damages confidence before key matches. The lack of physical grounding manifests as mental unsteadiness. A locked hip creates a feeling of inner calm and body confidence, while an unlocked hip leads to mental noise and panic during decisive moments. When the base feels unstable, the mind instinctively overthinks, and that is when rhythm and flow disappear. Identification of the problem. Observable signs. Slight sway or tilt visible on video from side or back. One knee bending more than the other during aiming. The pistol front sight oscillates side to side even when upper body looks still. Uneven pressure under feet. Test barefoot. One heel lifts subtly. How to distinguish. Unlike shoulder imbalance or ankle instability, hip unlock causes an entire pelvic shift, not just upper body tremor. On scat or Knopftel trace, this appears as an elongated, banana, trace pattern rather than a compact, dot, hold. If the site sway reduces instantly when you consciously engage your hip, it is a hip stability issue. If sway remains even after engaging hips, the imbalance may come from shoulder or vision-related factors. This diagnostic awareness helps avoid misdiagnosis, which is common among shooters who confuse hip instability with weak grip or shoulder fatigue. Remedies and corrections. Physical fixes. Slightly rotate the hip joint of your shooting leg inward and forward till you feel a locked tension. Engage glutes and core, pull belly button slightly in. Distribute body weight 60 to 70% on the shooting leg, 30 to 40% on the support leg. Keep pelvis neutral, not tilted forward or back. Include proprioception training to develop awareness of joint position. Practice on a balance disc or Bosu ball to train small stabilizing muscles. Combine this with glute activation exercises before shooting so the body is primed for hip control. Technical corrections. Record a side view slow motion video to monitor pelvic stability. Use SCAT to check consistency in hold before and after stance setup correction. Incorporate stance freeze drills. Hold for 20 seconds post-shot to test balance retention. Advanced shooters can connect hip lock awareness directly to trigger timing. When hips are stable, the brain perceives stillness sooner, allowing smoother trigger execution. Unlocked hips delay subconscious shot release. Mental remedies. Use a pre-shot cue. Silently say, "rooted and firm," to remind your body to engage hips. Visualization. Imagine your hip joints sinking into the ground like tree roots. Journaling. After training, note when balance felt natural versus forced. Add body scan meditation before training, bringing awareness from feet up to hips, and combine breathing rhythm with the feeling of rootedness. Progressive drills and workouts. Basic, home drills. Wall lean with locked hips, 10 seconds 10 reps. Balance board hold for 30 seconds per side. Glute bridges and hip thrusts to activate stabilizers. Add static holds in single leg stance with eyes closed to train proprioception. These help the nervous system build automatic balance corrections. Intermediate, range-based, stance hold drill. 10-shot dry fire maintaining sight on target for 10 seconds each. Weight shift drill. Consciously move body weight from left to right foot, then lock center. 40-shot match simulation focusing only on stance feedback, ignore score. Include endurance drills such as 30-second stance holds after each dry fire shot. This improves hip endurance and reduces sway in the last part of a 60-shot match. Advanced, competition level, introduce mild fatigue. Hold 1 kilogram weight in non-shooting hand for 30 seconds while maintaining locked hip. Match level self-talk. I am anchored, my stance owns the floor. Integrate visualization before finals. Feel hip engagement under stress. For different levels. Beginners. Focus on hip awareness before grip and sight training. Teenagers. Add bodyweight workouts, squats, lunges, single leg balance, and post-training stretches to prevent tightness. Elites. Integrate SCAT feedback with physical therapy hip mobilization and analyze hold patterns under fatigue. Coaches. Add stance freeze checks and symmetry analysis to every training session. Though ISSF rules do not directly govern hip engagement, they indirectly influence it through stance stability and time control. With shorter preparation times, shooters who do not lock hips early lose consistency. Clothing restrictions, especially non-rigid trousers, increase reliance on muscular hip stability, meaning your body must do the work, not your gear. This aligns with ISSF's focus on natural shooting positions. As modern rules promote body-dependent control, hip strength and stability have become more important than ever. Footwear and ground contact integration. The hip cannot stabilize effectively without proper ground feedback. Flat-soled pistol shoes such as Cleat Pro provide a stable and firm connection with the floor, allowing micro-adjustments through the feet. Worn-out soles or soft, cushioned shoes introduce micro-instability that travels upward to the hip. Shooters should routinely check sole hardness and ensure equal thickness on both sides. Proper footwear completes the kinetic chain from foot to hip to muzzle. Left and right hip symmetry. Most pistol shooters unconsciously rotate the pelvis slightly toward the target, loading the shooting side hip more. Over time, this creates muscular asymmetry. One hip becomes tighter, the other weaker. This imbalance leads to fatigue and lateral sway during long matches. Include symmetry drills, such as alternating stance exercises or post-shooting stretches, to balance both sides. A symmetrical pelvis leads to better endurance and consistent alignment. Fatigue and endurance factor. Hip stability decays slowly during long training sessions or finals. The glute and core muscles begin to relax, causing subtle pelvic shifts. Build endurance through isometric squats, single leg holds, and hip lock maintenance drills. Train the muscles to sustain activation for at least the duration of a 60-shot match. Periodic micro resets, slightly re-engaging hips between shots, help maintain consistency throughout. SCAT and Knopftel trace analysis. SCAT trace interpretation gives clear visual evidence of hip engagement. Unlocked hip produces irregular lateral waves before trigger break. Locked hip creates a compact, centered trace with minimal drift. Shooters can compare their before and after traces after practicing hip locking. Objective data helps shooters trust physical corrections. Recovery and post-training mobility. After shooting sessions, hips often tighten and restrict movement for the next day. Include mobility recovery such as pigeon stretch, hip flexor lunges, and foam rolling. Spend 5 minutes at the end of training unlocking the hips to maintain flexibility and prevent chronic tightness. A shooter at state level consistently shot 567 to 570 but could not cross 575. SCAT trace showed lateral drifts after 5 to 6 seconds. After analysis, hip unlocking was identified, his pelvis slightly rotated backward when fatigued. After correcting stance and adding glute activation drills, holds steadied by 30%, and average climbed to 578 plus within 3 weeks. Unlocked hip traces show elongated horizontal drift, while locked hip traces form tight circular centers. Another example comes from a national shooter who gained 8 points in finals after integrating single-leg balance drills and proprioception exercises. Once he truly felt the rooted hip connection, his self-belief and calmness grew instantly. Once, a senior coach told his students, "Your pistol stands only as tall as your stance. And your stance stands only as firm as your hips." Think about that. Your hip is not just a joint, it is your foundation of calm, confidence, and control. So, next time you pick up the pistol, ask yourself, are my hips locked and rooted, or still searching for balance? Have you ever faced this issue? What trick or drill helped you regain your stability? Share your experience. Your story could help another shooter shoot their best today. If you found this guide useful, please like and share it with your shooting friends and teammates who might be facing hidden stability issues. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Horizon Shooting Sports, for more such in-depth shooting tips, body alignment secrets, and mental mastery techniques. For personal shooting coaching, mental training, or equipment consultation, feel free to contact me anytime. Let us shoot smarter, stronger, and steadier together.